What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sports Planet Podcast. We are back. I know we took a bit of a break after the NBA Finals, but we're going to start up once again now that the NFL best sport around is starting once again. And as you can see, I'm joined by Alex Valadez, host of the RoyalTea Podcast, also fellow NFL lover. You can see by my shirt, if you're watching this, Eagle fan for me, and Alex is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So, Alex, anything you would like to say as we start the show?
Go put the house on Cardinals under 4.5 wins. Just put it on there. It's lock of the century.
Yeah, Caleb Williams to the Cardinals coming soon after this season. But yeah, man. So as I mentioned, NFL season starting. So this episode will be our 2023 NFL predictions episode. So let's just get right to it, Alex. Obviously, divisional winners. We'll start in the AFC. I'll tell you mine first, then you can go with yours. So in the AFC East, I have the Buffalo Bills, AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals, AFC South, Jacksonville Jaguars, and of course in the AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they're in Las Vegas, guys. I'm just joking. So what do you think about there? Anything you would want to change, or if you want to mention yours?
So I'm with you on the Chiefs Jags. I think those are pretty much locked in for those divisions. For the AFC North, I went with the Ravens. I do see it's going to be like the Ravens and Bengals and hopefully my Steelers fighting for that top spot, but I do think the Ravens ultimately get there. For the AFC East, I have the Jets, and that's not because I think they're the better team. I think their second half schedule is a lot smoother, where the Bills do have some tougher matchups, and I think Jets end up just getting over the Bills. So I think that's going to be the only reason, not because I think the Jets are better.
Yeah. No, like that A-Rod to Garrett Wilson will be explosive this year. I'm hoping for it. I have Wilson in a dynasty league with you, obviously. So I'm hoping for that sophomore, not a slump, but that sophomore takeoff, if you want to say. Yeah. But in the NFC, of course, NFC East, I got my Philadelphia Eagles. No bias. I'm just using my analyst cap. So Philadelphia Eagles, NFC North, Minnesota Vikings, NFC South, New Orleans Saints. That's probably going to be the worst division this year. And NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers. We'll get back to that later, though. But yeah, so the NFC North for me was probably the toughest one because, the Detroit Lions, I feel like that offense is really going to get better this year. I'm a big fan of them just from last season because I don't know if you watch Hard Knocks or not, but they were the preseason team that I watched during training camp. And then, it just shows you, the kind of culture that Dan Campbell was building there. And then, obviously, last year they got off to a slow start, but finished pretty hot. They were able to knock out the Packers from playoff contention. But, so they themselves didn't make playoffs, but you could tell that they're building towards something. So, for me, that Vikings-Lions one was kind of like a coin toss, if you want to say. But I ended up going with the Vikings just because, obviously, Kirk Cousins and JJ are still, a dynamic duo themselves as well. So what do you think about about these, or if you want to mention yours?
Yeah, no, agree with the Eagles, agree with the 49ers, agree with the Saints. I ended up going with Detroit on this one. I think, you're saying, they're building towards something. I think this is a year that they push the envelope. I know they have a lot of key guys on defense who, if they make the strides that it's looking like, I could see them overtaking the Vikings, with the Vikings defense being so suspect. So I do like Detroit in this one. What's funny is when I was looking at this, I definitely looked at the gambling odds just to kind of get a feel for what the public is leaning on. And Detroit is actually the favorite right now, believe it or not.
Really?
I was very surprised by that too.
I would have thought Vikings. That's why, because I feel like a lot of people are riding the Lions now because they know they're a fun team to watch. They're a hard team to root against. So I feel like that one is. I just went Vikings just because of their not. I don't know if I want to say chemistry, but the experience that they've had. Obviously, they're not that type of playoff team that has success and all that, but we're talking about regular season here. So that's why ultimately I went Vikings. I did have Lions at first, but then I swapped it just because they have the experience. But yeah, so Anything you want to say about divisional winners before moving on to the playoff seedings?
Yeah, you know what? That NFC South, if you're a gambling person, I mean, I wouldn't even hate you if you've sprinkled on. Let's see, let me just look at real quick at the odds.
Probably under 500 divisional winner.
Yeah, so let me see. NFC
Eight and
South.
9. Now that there's 17 games.
You know what's funny is the New Orleans Saints is such a great value at -105 because, I mean, I don't really
Kind of a
think
lock.
Falcons are going to do anything. Panthers, it's a cute idea, but that's not smart. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to say bring the Brinks truck for the Saints because they're the Saints, but, maybe put a week's lunch money on it.
Yeah. I don't know because I'm not going to say Derek Carr is the greatest quarterback, but they obviously did upgrade from Andy Dalton to Derek Carr, and then they also got Jamal Williams from the Lions that we were just talking about. He signed there in the offseason with New Orleans, so he'll get a good share of work in those first 3 games while Alvin Kamara is out with his suspension. But and then Olave too. He's going into his second season. I expect him to have a huge jump from his rookie season to his sophomore year. So and then Michael Thomas, I'm not going to go too deep into him because after a game or two, he'll probably be out with a toe injury or something like that. But I feel like in terms of the NFC South, probably going to be the weakest division. I remember like back then for the NFC East, it was the NFC least, and then but now NFC South, I don't know. It's going to be a tough year for all 4 teams there. So that's why I think the Saints have the best roster in terms of that division. So that's why I'm giving them the edge. Anything else you want to say before moving on?
I just put 2 units on it. So yeah, Saints for the division. And enjoy this one time that I support the Saints.
Yeah. All right. So and then AFC playoff seedings, obviously 1 through 4 are the divisional winners. So it's based off divisional winners then record for the playoffs. So I have Chiefs finishing as the 1st seed, Bengals 2nd seed, Buffalo Bills 3rd seed, Jaguars 4th, followed by the Jets, Chargers, and Browns filling out the wild card spots. What about you? What do you have?
So in the AFC, so Jets, Ravens, Chiefs. So I think it's going to be Chiefs 1 seed, Ravens 2 seed, Jets 3 seed, Jags 4 seed, and then you're going to get the Bills as the 5th seed and the Bengals as the 6th seed.
Wow.
And then, let me see.
You got Chargers, you got Browns. I don't know if you want to go with a different team like the Raiders. No, I'm just kidding. The Raiders.
See the 7th one. I want to be cute
Yeah.
with the Steelers, but I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I think that I just part of me just wants to see the Chargers win a bit, just because the narrative that Justin Herbert isn't all that just because of the Chargers. Like, I just would like to see him get his due diligence.
I mean, they did blow a 27-0 lead in the wild card against the Jaguars last season. So obviously, it's not all on Herbert. It's a whole team. It's a team aspect, but they did blow a 27-0 lead. So I mean, the Chargers are that team that they're going to be good in the regular season, but they're just the Clippers of the NFL. I don't know. They're just never going to be. I just don't see the Chargers ever doing well, and I don't care for their success, but we are living in LA, so that'd be nice to have a team. Obviously, we saw that with the Rams recently when all the people around here that never really watched football hopped onto the Rams bandwagon. So maybe it'd be nice to have an actual team here that has actual fans, because whenever we go to SoFi, it's usually the visiting team's fans that are filling the stands, And I'm sure, I don't know, I'm sure you went recently to a Steeler game. I think it was against the Chargers or the Rams. I can't remember when.
It was the Chargers and the terrible towels. It felt like it was a home game. It was crazy.
Yeah. The only thing the Chargers could say is oh, we have blue and yellow, so those were our yellow towels. It's everybody knows there were the yellow terrible towels from Pittsburgh. And It's the same thing that happened when I went to the Eagle games here at the Coliseum back-to-back years. It was all green, And then this year, obviously, Eagles are coming to SoFi Week 5. I'll be there, of course, and I'm sure it'll be the same thing where it's all nothing but green, and I'm all because the Rams aren't going to be that great of a team this year, I feel, obviously. So
I bet the under wins. So I'm with you.
You
on
bet
that.
what?
I bet the under 6.5 wins for the Rams.
Yeah, I would put them around there, like 5 to 6 wins. That's all.
Especially
Like they'll
doesn't know what's wrong with his hamstring, which is like he was going to be the only reason why I hesitate to not go over.
No, yeah, and then good thing I haven't had my draft. I have one draft tonight. Obviously, I was fading Cooper Kupp with his injuries recently, but I'm just glad that I didn't draft him in any of my previous drafts because now they're saying that he's day to day. I put it in air quotes, but that hamstring injury, re-aggravating that type of injury at his age, that's kind of a tough one to come back from. But moving forward to the NFC playoff seedings. Bias aside, I just feel like the Eagles will. I know it sounds like I'm biased, guys, but I truly believe that the Eagles will finish as the 1 seed again. And then I have the 49ers, this 2 seed, Minnesota Vikings, the 3 seed, and of course the Saints as the 4 seed because it goes based off divisional winners. And then at 5, I have Cowboys, 6, Detroit Lions, and 7, the Seahawks. So what do you think about that? And then after that, just let me know about yours.
So I actually have Eagles as the number 2 seed.
Wow.
I got the 49ers at the 1 seed.
Okay.
Detroit at the 3 seed. Saints at the 4 seed. 5th seed, I got the Minnesota Vikings. 6th seed, I have your favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys.
You mean America's team?
That's such a dumb reference, America.
Hey, they're America's team now, right? Because they're America's team to hate. Before, they were America's team to love. Now they're America's team to hate. Somebody
said that Jerry Jones made Trey Lance wear the 15 so he could have his own Mahomes at his team. And then 7th seed, Seattle. I still think
don't sleep on them.
Yeah, I think Seattle has I know everybody hates it fantasy wise for Zach Charbonnet being on the Seahawks, but I think philosophy wise with what this team is building as one of the slower teams, having 2 running backs that are capable of splitting a load and running the ball well, that's exactly what you want in a game against the 49ers or a game against the Eagles where you want to control the clock. So I like to wrap up the last seed for sure.
No, yeah. And then right now that you mentioned the Jerry Jones thing, I had seen a meme also where they're all like, like when they put the little glasses and all that, like where they can't see, and then there was like an image of Mahomes blurred out, and then they put the glasses on and the vision's all clear and it's actually Trey Lance. And I'm like, they were like, and then the comments are like, I am not even like, I would even doubt it if that's truly what Jerry Jones thought, that he was training for Mahomes or something like that. It's crazy. Like,
or he thinks he's Mahomes.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's all like the number 3 pick in the 2021 draft got outplayed and replaced by Mr. Irrelevant, as they say in the draft, the final pick in the 2022 NFL draft. So that just goes to show that obviously injuries came to play, but that just goes to show that it doesn't matter where you're drafted, but as long as, because like Tom Brady as well, the GOAT of football, he wasn't drafted in the first night or 2. He was drafted on the final day of the draft. So that just goes to show to put in the work, and you will eventually make it to where you have to be. But
everybody who has in a dynasty league and I have Brock Purdy, come send me those offers. Take them off my hands.
Yeah. So out of these teams right here, so we've gone over the AFC and the NFC. Who are your dark horses to make the championship games for both conferences?
All right, dark horses
or give me your championship predictions and then dark horses if you want.
All right, so out of the AFC, even as a Steelers fans, I'm going to say it. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson.
Really?
Baltimore Ravens to get out of the AFC.
Wow.
And there's a reason for my madness. And
is this to make the championship game, or are you saying, because I heard you say to make it out of the AFC?
Yeah, to make the championship game, so to represent.
Okay.
And then NFC, you're going to hate this, but the 49ers.
Oh, so you're saying Super Bowl? This is like the Super Bowl, you're saying?
Yeah, this is going to be a Super Bowl matchup, and those are going to be the teams who are going to come out of each conference.
Oh, is this the rematch of the Super Bowl when the lights went out?
Well, what's funny? The only reason I'm going by this is, have you ever heard of that, like the I didn't look into it, but I wanted to like roll the dice on it because I was trying to think about it. That the colors of the Super Bowl logo theoretically predicts who's going to make it to the Super Bowl. You know, like last year for the Eagles and the Chiefs, it was a greenish reddish one.
Was it really?
Yeah, and it wasn't until someone on TikTok, because of course people on TikTok have the ability to fucking look all this shit up. But apparently, it was green and then red. Chiefs, Eagles.
Oh my god!
Because you know how they joke about the Super Bowl that I even think I remember the Steelers ones having mad yellow. So
dude, there's no way.
I'm not fact checking it, but I'm just gonna say like that's. I mean, think about that.
Green and red, right there.
Yeah.
And then now that you're saying that, go to the next one. There's Ravens and Niners, I guess, if you want to say.
Because I thought Chiefs and Vikings, but that Vikings defense, I just can't see them making it into the Super Bowl.
Oh, but okay. Well, this was the year that the Rams won. That was the first year that they started actually putting some color in.
Rams.
So that one, no.
You could fake the.
You could say the Bengals, but there's no Rams here for 50.
Well, Rams have a yellow on their alternate jerseys. They were the blue and yellow ones that year. I'm just saying. Look, I'm going TikTok conspiracy on it, like just because it's fun to go about it. All right, go to the next one.
All right. Well, the next. Go back one?
Or back, yeah.
The Chiefs and the Bucks. Okay, so no, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Okay, this was the year that it was in Tampa. Oh, well, Tampa, yeah, obviously. But no, why is it in Tampa? But it's Dolphin colors. You see, kind of like the bluish.
One thing I was gonna say is like it gives very Dolphin colors.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's in Miami, but I forgot this was the year that Tampa Bay was the first team that win it at their own stadium. The year that the Chiefs made me lose a lot of money because I thought they were going to repeat.
Oh yeah, no, I like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. But yeah, so technically this last year, okay, Eagles Chiefs, I see it. So if you want to go based off TikTok conspiracies, it looks like the Ravens versus the 49ers. So the 49er fans will find that funny or will like that.
Vikings are the only purple team in the NFC, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the only one I can think of as of right now. So you could say the Vikings versus who? The Bills, maybe. But who knows?
I feel like if it's gonna be red, and the red is for the AFC, it's gonna definitely be the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh Allen's gonna be like.
Josh Allen always finds
to Mahomes Brady like type thing. You know what I'm saying? Like remember when like Brady and Manning, it was always like everybody always liked Manning more, but Tom Brady just always won.
Yeah.
It's gonna be probably something like that, but Mahomes is very likable.
Honestly, I see that, but with I feel like eventually he's not there yet, but I feel like Trevor Lawrence will play that Peyton Manning role, where he doesn't have obviously Peyton Manning won 2 Super Bowls after that eventually. Okay, so like obviously he did get his share of wins. Two is a lot right then and there. 1 is a lot. But the fact that Brady got 7, that's where it's like, oh, what the fuck? But yeah. So I feel like if anything, I don't see the Bills ever. I don't want to say I don't see them winning a Super Bowl, but if they never do, I see it because Josh Allen always throws that critical pick at some point where it just gives the other team the momentum or just throws away the game, literally. So I feel like, if anything, Trevor Lawrence will play that Peyton Manning role to Patrick Mahomes, where Mahomes maybe finishes with 5 Super Bowls, let's say, and then Lawrence will have 1 or 2. What do you think about that?
I can't wait till the day Trevor Lawrence cuts his hair and NFL Twitter goes fucking nuclear. With the theory. He's about to become a Hall of Fame quarterback, guys. Mm-hmm. I could see it. I mean, Lawrence to me seems like one of those like freaking first one in, last one out, fucking tape nerd, just constantly like reviewing and looking at game tape. I could see that.
The opposite of Johnny Manziel, 0 hours on his iPad. Rookie season.
I can't believe you did that. Like I remember in high school, I would look at tape a ton, and I'd be like, "There's no way as a quarterback you aren't looking at tape."
Not even just a quarterback, as a professional player. It doesn't matter what position you play. and a first rounder at that. Come on. But yeah, but so you mentioned your Super Bowl matchup, but I was kind of alluding to the championship game matchups. What do you think? Like, because obviously you said Ravens versus the Niners. So who do you think they're going to be playing in the NFC Championship and AFC Championship game?
For the NFC, I think it's going to be the Eagles, and the 49ers fans are going to be really annoying to you guys for the entire offseason because it's going to come.
Yeah.
And then Ravens, I'm going to have them beat. I just can't put them against anyone else besides the Chiefs because, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, that's why I feel like this year, honestly, for me personally, I have the same prediction that I had going into last season. Because last season I had said Eagles, Niners, and then Bengals, Chiefs. Sorry, but the thing is, for me last year I had Eagles versus the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Obviously, I got 1 out of 2, but unfortunately for Eagle fans, they lost the Super Bowl. But Mahomes was the better player. The Chiefs were the better team that day. And then, but I have the same thing this year where I'm going Eagles versus Niners, and then Bengals, Chiefs. But I think Bengals make it out this season. So, but as for that, like obviously we have our picks, but who do you think if one of those teams weren't to make it? What dark horse do you have for each conference? Because for me in the AFC, you mentioned them already, as the AFC East divisional champions, the New York Jets. Because obviously Rodgers has some weapons there. He has Garrett Wilson. He has Breece Hall. Obviously, he's coming off an ACL, but I think the addition of Dalvin Cook will really help him come back into the fold way better than if he were expected to be ready by week 1, which he is expected to, but he doesn't have to worry about having the full workload. And then for the NFC, we already mentioned them earlier, the Detroit Lions. So if one of those two teams don't make it to, or if our matchups don't make it, those are the two teams I expect to be there as dark horses.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Jets. I just think they got their quarterback, and I know last year that was the narrative that they were a quarterback away from making it to the playoffs. So they have that now. They have a defense that, Sauce Gardner, who's always the fun one to look at, but they have a solid interior linebacker core, which I think in terms of defenses, like for the Eagles, it was Trent Edwards and Kaiser White, who they set the tone and they start to kind of dictate how the offense plays. And I think the Jets have that with CJ Mosley.
Mm-hmm.
Jets would be the one. For the NFC. I have a hard time picking a dark horse because, sure, Detroit and the Vikings sound like a fun idea. But I think it's either the 49ers or the Eagles to come out, honestly. I have a hard time saying even the Cowboys, Giants, and I can't confidently even name them as a dark horse.
Yeah. That's why I feel like the Lions, but the only thing is their defense, because obviously they have the offense, but it's the defense. Will they be able to have enough to help them get through to at least to the championship game? I'm not saying they'll make it to the Super Bowl, but I'm just saying they could make it as far as the championship game. And how you mentioned Sauce Gardner on for the Jets, they also have another pretty good corner in DJ Reed on the other side. So it's everybody talks about Sauce because obviously he's the main guy. He has a personality, but they have a pretty good defense as well coming into this season. So that's the only difference between the Jets and the Lions in terms of my dark horses, where they have it on both sides. So I don't know, but
one thing to just know for the Jets: if you put money on the Jets to win the Super Bowl just because they played Sexy Red at their practice, you need to reevaluate how you spend your money. That was a funny clip. That was a really funny clip.
No, yeah, and then I don't know if you saw this. Sorry, oh no. So let me just go back to the Super Bowl. So who do you have winning it then? You said the 49ers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. And who would be your MVP of the Super Bowl?
McCaffrey.
Oh, CMC. Is that the day he's going to throw another touchdown pass, receiving catch one for a receiving touchdown and run one in, how he did against the Rams last year?
It's gonna be like when the Steelers, when Randall threw the game-winning touchdown to Hines Ward. It's gonna be McCaffrey throwing it to Debo. Call it right now.
Yeah. No, dude, and then so obviously for me personally, It sounds like I'm biased, man.
There's
I'm being
nothing wrong-
serious.
there's
I'm
nothing wrong
not being
with
biased.
the
I'm
Eagles.
not being
The Eagles-
biased.
The
Okay.
Eagles are like, I'm telling you, I cannot confidently say outside of the Eagles and 49ers that there's anyone else coming out of the NFC. I cannot.
Yeah.
So,
No, but this is what
biased.
I'm sounding biased, but I'm being serious. I am not like I. This is because I truly believe it. If I have the Eagles winning the Super Bowl against the Bengals, okay, and then Jalen Hurts has the MVP, but I don't know if he'll put on as great of a performance that he did last season. But he'll come back and help us redeem after losing last season against the Chiefs. But that's the reason why I have the Eagles winning it. Because if you've seen Jalen Hurts the way he is, you know he's a no nonsense type of guy. Like obviously he'll have his fun, whatever. But first thing on his mind is winning. He doesn't care about any of the outside noise, any distractions. Like he is focused on getting us back to the Super Bowl and winning it all this time. And that's the only reason why I feel like we'll win it this year, because of Hurts, his mentality. He'll get everybody else to buy in, make sure that they're locked in. If they would have won it last year, I wouldn't be telling you, yeah, we're going to repeat. I'm being serious. We would not be repeating, because obviously it's difficult to repeat in any sport, especially in football. But if we would have won last year, I would probably say either 49ers versus the Bengals this year. But the fact that we lost last year, that's just going to fuel Hurts even more, and that'll help the Eagles get their second Lombardi trophy in 6 years. But anything else you want to say before moving on to MVP? Or not MVP, sorry, end of season awards?
Yeah, no, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think you're being biased. You don't have to worry about the commenters saying like, "Oh, it's a fucking Eagles fan." Eagles could very well do it. They did lose a couple pieces on defense that don't worry me, but it's just like, it's just somebody's got to replace them, and somebody will.
Mm-hmm.
Is Barnett going to get traded?
Who?
Derek Barnett.
I don't know. He wants to get traded because now that obviously he wants to get traded because there isn't that much space left for him on the D line, obviously, because now that's the thing. A lot of people are saying we lost a lot of pieces, but as much as we lost, I feel like maybe we're not as good on the defensive end, but we still have pieces to help us get to the Super Bowl. And then we lost Javon Hargrave to the Niners in the offseason. He signed with San Francisco. But we replaced them we already had Jordan Davis. And then we replaced them with Jalen Carter, the number 9 pick in the draft this year. Every analyst was saying should have gone number 1 if it wasn't for character issues and all that off the field stuff following the national championship game. But that's the thing. It's all like we just replaced them with probably the best player in the league. And yeah, man. So I feel like Barnett, who doesn't have that type of role like how he did a couple years ago when we won Super Bowl 52. But I don't see him getting traded. But if he does, it's because he wants to leave, of course, because he just wants more playing time than anything. But yeah, anything else
I'm very excited to see Kobe Dean finally get a start for the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Dogs. Like they might as well. Everybody that goes to Georgia, just know that you're getting ready to come to Philadelphia once you're a pro. If you make it that far.
Right.
But yeah, moving forward to NFL end of season awards. I'm gonna sound biased once again, but I'm gonna give you two options for the first couple of awards, just because I'm not biased, but these are my 2 players that I expect to make it. So starting off with MVP, of course, Jalen Hurts, quarterback at the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the thing, though. I feel like people underestimated him last year because he didn't have the passing touchdowns, right? Everybody sees Mahomes and all his touchdowns. And then I want to say Hurts was in the 20s, low 20s. But the thing that people don't understand if you weren't watching the games is that Eagles were blowing out a lot of teams. So there was no point in him needing to keep throwing at the ball. There was a lot of games last season that Eagles were up big at halftime, and then they would just run the ball the whole second half. And as an Eagle fan myself, that obviously you're glad your team's winning, but it's kind of boring because they're just running out the clock at that point.
Yeah.
So that kind of hurt Jalen Hurts in terms of his MVP season because they were dominating teams so well. Say it was an easy schedule, whatever. I saw a graphic towards the end of the season saying obviously, because that's based on the prior season, right? The schedule difficulty. But once I saw towards the end of the season, once they factored in 2022 records, the Eagles actually had one of the tougher schedules as of that year, and obviously that's because the NFC East was so much better because obviously those are the teams you play the most, your division. But yeah, so Jalen Hurts, and plus once you factor in his rushing ability, he's like that. Those were the things that kind of factored into him losing. I want to say because Mahomes is the poster child for NFL. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it at all. I'm just saying those are the things that, in my opinion, factored into Jalen Hurts not winning as well because he had more rushing touchdowns, more rushing yards, that type of stuff. But so that lowered his passing yards and passing touchdowns. But my other MVP, if Hurts doesn't win, is quarterback for the Bengals, Joe Burrow, because I feel like he has all the weapons. Obviously, he has Chase, he has T. Higgins, he has Boyd, who's not obviously he's not the number one anymore, but he's still a quality wide receiver 3 in my opinion. And then plus Mixon, like how we were talking about earlier. But what do you think for your MVP?
I'm going Lamar Jackson. I know last year he missed the end of the season because of his nagging knee injury. I know everybody was trying to, say he was quitting on the team and all that. The Ravens go out, get Odell Beckham Jr. They draft Zay Flowers. I just think this is going to be one of those years where Lamar Jackson is just going to try to go X Games mode, and that's why I have him as the 1 seed. So, so self-explanatory there.
Wow, you're really all in on the Ravens this year, huh? And this is coming from a Steeler fan, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I don't understand. Like, this isn't just like, I'm a Raven fan. It's like, no, I'm a Steeler fan. This is just me kind of feeling out, looking at the numbers, Oh, which is kind of funny because I just realized my offensive player of the year and defensive player of the year are AFC North too.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going all in everywhere then.
I don't think you're gonna expect my offensive player of the year.
If you said AFC North?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but obviously, so now that you're saying that, you're not going Lamar Jackson. You're gonna go the opposite. AFC North. Is it from the Bengals?
No.
So it has to be from the Browns. You're going with Chubb.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think okay. I really think the Browns are going to lean on him. They're going to build on their running game. I know everybody expects Deshaun Watson to go back to like the Houston days and throw it a ton. I don't think they won't because he's washed. I think they'll do that in to kind of build their offense off the run.
Mm-hmm.
I keep on seeing people put like Chubb could get 2,000 yards. I don't really know about that. I do see him getting 1,600 plus yards. I'm sure he's going to be there in the receiving game. He had Hunt in the backfield. Obviously, his playing time diminished near the end, but Chubb had a hell of a year last year with Hunt kind of looming and kind of getting some carries here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Those carries to Chubb, and I think Chubb's going to take the full workload. I think he's going to have a spectacular year as running back.
Yeah, so that's your offensive player of the year. That's crazy. I have either Christian McCaffrey, running back from the 49ers, or Jamar Chase, wide receiver from the Bengals. So it's all like, because Chase is just a physical beast, man. Like, and that's the funny thing coming into his rookie year. Everybody was saying he couldn't even catch the ball because the college ball was so different from the NFL ball. A lot of people started fading him in like his rookie year drafts. And it's all like, this guy turned out to be the second best receiver in the league, probably behind Justin Jefferson. Everybody has him 1 and 2. I feel I feel like there's no wrong answer, but I tend to lean towards JJ first. Should have been an Eagle. I still can't believe it to this day. They drafted Rager over him, who is on the Patriots now, trying to make it as a special teams member, but whatever. So, but yeah, 1 and 2, I have CMC or Jamar Chase, just because CMC can do it all. I feel like this year, obviously they're going to use Elijah Mitchell a good amount, because why wouldn't you? Why would you try taxing CMC all that like so much when you have another quality back in Elijah Mitchell on the Niners? But I feel like CMC's passing ability too, I guess. Yeah, that touchdown. But he's a great runner. Obviously, he has the ability to catch the ball. So I feel like he'll be able to acclimate his stats and really have an all-around season this year. And Elijah Mitchell will only help him to stay healthier too. So you obviously said that Chubb. What do you think about mine?
Chase would be my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been my number 1 if Bro didn't get hurt, and that just scares me a little bit. Not because I think Bro's gonna miss time, but the follow through, everything goes through your legs. I was walking in. If Burrow was healthy, I would consider drafting Chase number 1. Like that's I expect him to have a big year too. So I do like Chase there. So I'm sure he's a pretty solid value if you were gambling on that one too.
Mm-hmm. So moving on to Defensive Player of the Year, I'm gonna show you guys I'm not being biased right now. My second player shows bias, but my first player does not. Okay, and can you guess who it is? I feel like it should be an easy one. If I'm an Eagle fan and I'm going with this guy as my Defensive Player of the Year.
It's like that. It's obvious. Like it's weird that you're picking him, or are you talking about the Eagle one?
No, I'm talking about the guy that I'm going with first.
Micah
We're
Parsons.
talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm showing you that I'm not biased. All right, guys. As much as I hate the Cowboys, I believe Micah is a great. Obviously, he's a great defensive player. He's from Philly. He keeps sending a little subliminal shots like, "Hey guys, I love Philly, this and that." But everybody's like, "Oh, he's going to the Eagles," and it's like, "No, guys, he's just from the area." But that I would not be opposed to that, of course. But yeah, so I have Micah Parsons winning Defensive Player of the Year this year, and then my second pick is Hassan Reddick. Obviously, the man had a tear. He teared through everyone last year, especially in the NFC Championship game when the 49er fans are saying that you're lucky we didn't have a third quarterback, Like, who the hell else were you going to have? Can we agree that he was their best quarterback?
So annoying this year, by the way. Like, after that loss, I'm not going to lie to you. I've never seen so many players go on press runs just to talk about the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Debo probably will probably never eat a Philly cheesesteak sandwich ever again.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to have to once they come back to the NFC Championship game. Or even when they play them this year. I can't remember what week it is, but like week 13-ish or something like that. But they will be back this season. So I cannot wait for that game. Bold prediction. I think we kill them. I think it's like another, like, obviously 31-7 in the NFC Championship game. I think it's one of those type of games where we just shut them up and let's say 38-7. And I hope Brock Purdy is healthy.
I hope just dominating victory against another fellow NFC heavyweight.
That's what I'm saying. They should have kept Trey Lance, because if that way they can say that they had every quarterback available. Because now, thanks to the Hassan Reddick, he took out 2 quarterbacks in one game. They had to bring back Purdy when he had a torn UCL. So obviously he couldn't throw anymore. They were thinking about putting in McCaffrey at quarterback at that point. So it's all like, I understand you guys didn't have a quarterback, but it's because you guys decided to put a backup or a third string tight end on Hassan Reddick. Are you serious? Yeah, that was barbecue chicken alert right there. So it's all like, that's not our fault that like they didn't have an extra quarterback. That's just how it goes. That's like saying if Hurts would have got hurt and then our backup gets hurt, I'm not going to be like, oh, we lost because we didn't have a third quarterback. That's such a bullshit argument. Just that only thing I'm trying to say is just acknowledge that you guys lost because our defense killed you guys. Our defense killed you guys. That's what I'm going to say.
I hate when people are like, well, we would have won if this guy didn't get hurt. Well, he did, and you guys lost.
Yeah,
all right.
Injuries are part of the game, exactly. So I'm like, it's one thing I don't mind like people saying we would have had a chance. Of course, yeah, it would. Maybe it's a more intense game. It's not as lopsided. I won't disagree with that. But it just completely say you would have won if Brock Purdy stays healthy. Then, like, I mean, he was
is
scared.
Greg Williams on the Eagle staff now?
No, but real quick, now rather than mentioning this, this is from Eagles Nation on Twitter. I don't know. Have you seen this video?
No. Oh my god.
Okay, so it says the effect the NFC Championship loss had on the 49er fans and players truly needs to be studied by mental health professionals. This is just sad.
Let me know when y'all got it. All right, let's do it. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3.
Cry, Eagles, cry on the road to misery. Sigh, Eagles, sigh. Blow the big games, 1, 2, 3.
Miss them low, loft them
high,
and
watch our Eagles die. Bye, Eagles, bye. Bright face of the NFC. LOSERS Eagles.
I'm loving it. That's so good. Let me know when y'all.
Oh, damn. This is crazy. Huh?
Is that for Super Bowl?
This was, following the Super Bowl. I mean, like, this just got posted. This got posted August 17th, but I'm sure it was right after Super Bowl. Because it would be even worse if they just posted that recently. But I'm pretty sure it was right after Super Bowl. But it was just so funny when I saw it. I was like, holy shit, bro. These guys are really crazy.
That is corny.
It's like, and I had seen another tweet saying, Tyreek Hill, obviously before, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Chiefs believe in Pat and built around him. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Bagels know Joe is the real deal. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Cowboys got lethal weapons for Dak. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Hurts sucks. He needs players to carry him. They just keep moving the goalposts for Hurts. It's crazy, man. It's whenever a quarterback can run, the narrative is so much different than a pocket passer, traditional quarterback, which is what's sad. But yeah, I have another thing to share, but I'll leave it till the end. But yeah, so who'd you have for Defensive Player of the Year?
TJ Watt, bias for life. So the part of it, I mean, look, I have him on my Prize Picks season total at over 13.5. You know, there's this whole Pat McAfee said if TJ Watt beats the sack record, he's going to donate so much money over to the charity of his choice. So I'm just going to run with the good positive cheer with the donation. So yeah, I'm gonna ride with TJ Watt. He's healthy this season. Last year he got hurt after that first game against the Bengals, and I know at my age, getting older, and I get hurt, and then I go to rec league. It's like, I have no idea how these guys are out there playing the full tackle football, dealing with injuries. So I like Watt with a clean bill of health to kind of regain that form.
Yeah, well, I mean, T.J. Watt, they both. He holds the sack record with Michael Strahan, 22.5. I thought he was half away. That's crazy. He tied it. Well, but mention that
there was an argument on the second to last sack or last sack that he had because they only counted it as a half. Mm-hmm. There's this whole argument whether it was or wasn't. So which I always thought was like, oh man, I hate when it gets those gut calls because it's like, you make the call,
especially and you say for a record,
right. And if you don't make the call, then it feels like you were kind of robbed.
Mm.
You don't see me making losers ref sucks or whatever, or stat tracker sucks or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that was so corny and embarrassing. Like for the 49ers media to do that shit, that's so corny.
Yeah, but it's whatever. I mean, whatever helps them sleep at night,
I'm sure it did actually help them sleep at night. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It did. They're going to sleep. The Eagles are lucky we didn't have 3 more quarterbacks on the roster. It's like, no, but yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like I looked it up real quick because I remember seeing when TJ Watt was nearing the record. I remember seeing a video on Twitter. I'm not gonna go looking for it because that's gonna take a while. But I remember seeing that I think it was on Michael Strahan's final sack that whoever was the offensive tackle at that point just gave it to him just so he can get the record. So that's what was the crazy part about it because people are saying TJ Watt's actually out here getting sacks, and then that final sack was just kind of given to him. So it's all like, imagine if that never happened, TJ Watt is your sack leader now. So just like those little things that happened back then where it ends up being a huge difference now. Yeah. So TJ Watt, obviously you're saying you're a Steeler fan, you're saying bias. It doesn't matter because when we're here, we're thinking analyst cap. Obviously we're fans of both the Eagles and Steelers. But whenever we make our predictions, it's not because we're going with our heart, but we're going with our analyst cap. But TJ Watt is a great pick as well.
I mean, just to add one little tidbit. So we have Alex Highsmith, who we actually just inked him to a new deal. He had double-digit sacks. We have Cam Hayward on the D line. We added a new corner because our corners have been barbecue chicken for the last couple of years. So Joey Porter Jr. former Joey Porter linebacker for the Steelers. So it's his son. I'm going off based off scheme wise what I've seen when he's healthy and he's in there. He's normally getting pressures, similar to Hassan Reddick, where like last year it seemed like no one could stop him.
No.
Like you could put a brick wall and he's gonna get through it.
Everyone
Like,
was barbecue chicken.
yeah, so I'm hoping for a bounce back year for Watt after last year. So yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to rookies of the year. Obviously, there's offensive and defensive. So offensive rookie of the year, I have the man that they compared to Saquon, Bijan Robinson, running back out of the Falcons. Obviously, I wanted him to be an Eagle so bad just because coming off a Super Bowl, we have a top 10 pick. That's such a luxury pick at that point. I am so happy with Jalen Carter right now, obviously. But going into the draft, I feel like everybody wanted Bijan just because we knew we were going to get rid of Sanders because we could get Bijan on a rookie contract. Imagine Bijan with Jalen Hurts. That would have been crazy, but the Falcons sniped us. So Bijan is now with the Falcons in Atlanta. So he's my offensive rookie of the year. And then for defense, here's more bias. Jalen Carter, our defensive tackle we just got, man. Number 9. Dude, Jalen Carter's a beast. Like, how did the league mess up this bad and let him drop to the Eagles? Honestly, we probably didn't need him because we have Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis. But the fact that Jalen Carter fell to them, now Jalen Carter comes in as a starter over Jordan Davis. And then now when Fletcher Cox is ready to retire, whatever, we have the 2 Georgia Bulldogs there at defensive tackle, which is just crazy, followed by a linebacker duo of Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean for Georgia Bulldogs. And then who is it at corner? Kelly Rango. It's like, oh, my God. It's like all these Bulldogs, man. I'm not mad at all either because they like no pun intended, but they some dogs, all right? So
yeah.
What about for you, offensive and defensive rookie of the years?
So offensive rookie of the year, I'm going with a dark horse here. I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs. We keep on hearing that he's going to be lining in the slot. He's going to be used in so many different ways. The thing is, if Jahmyr Gibbs is used as a receiver like the way that they're saying he is, I feel like he might have slightly better numbers than Bijan, only because if I'm looking at the Falcons as a team and I'm looking at their schedule, they're going to be out of games early on, which means they're not going to be able to ground and pound and get up to 20 carries, 15 carries. And I think on the opposite side, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be in more favorable matchups, so I think he'll have that slight edge. Defensive rookie of the year, if the Eagles weren't so good, I would probably go that way. But I just think Will Anderson, that team's just always going to be down. And I just think he's just going to have a ton of opportunities to make plays. But Jalen Carter was my second choice, so you don't think I'm disrespecting the Bulldog.
Will Anderson Jr. right there, and with Houston, obviously they're going to be down a lot of games, so that'll lead to more tackles, because a lot of teams will be running towards the end. So more tackles, the stats will look nice. So I mean, that's not a bad pick either. But anything else you want to say before moving on to comeback?
Let's go to comeback.
All right, man. I had 3. I couldn't decide between these 3 guys, and the first one is kind of like political. I think you know which way I'm going, because it depends which way the NFL wants to go. Because the NFL, they leaked their script coming into this season. That was a great promotion, I felt. When they're at their table reading for the 2023 NFL season. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. So my first pick, I have DeMar Hamlin, obviously from the Bills. We saw what happened in that Bengals game where he had to get carted off. Everybody was scared for his health and everything. So I feel like in terms of for like this one, because if the league wants to really push it, they will, and they'll make him comeback player of the year, regardless of his stats. They'll make him comeback player just because of what he went through on the field last season, right? Mm-hmm. So if they don't go that route, I have 2 players that I have as well. One is OBJ coming off that ACL with the Ravens. Let's see if his knee actually is healthy and if he's able to be a contributor, because obviously you're over here saying the Ravens, you have them in the Super Bowl. So if OBJ can be a great part of that, he'll be comeback player of the year because obviously he tore his ACL in the Super Bowl with the Rams and then out all of last season. So if he can come back healthy, be a good contributor, I see him being a comeback player candidate. And one more I have is Calvin Ridley of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's not coming back from any injury, but he was on a whole season suspension from the NFL for gambling on his own team, which is stupid. If you gamble on your own team, it shouldn't matter. Like, the NFL makes so much money based off their DraftKings and all their betting sponsors. So if a player picks his own team to win their game, it's not like he was saying we're gonna lose and then tank it just so he wins his own bet, right? If you're saying I'm gonna bet 17 times this year and say we win 17 times, that should not matter because you're playing to win the game, obviously. So if he was making a couple extra dollars, who cares? But I have Calvin Ridley as another comeback candidate as well, just since he was off all of last season. So what about you?
So obviously, DeMar Hamlin is like you said, the politically correct choice, probably to just kind of push the narratives and all that good stuff. Calvin Ridley was the other one that I had. Agree with you there completely. I think he could be immediately an impact on the Jaguars. The other one I have is John Mechie from the Texans. Now, outside of Bobby Trees or Robert Woods, there's not very much in terms of like players who have had experience. I know Nico Collins is a lot of people's darling for that team, but Mechie coming out of Alabama, like if you go back and look at his game tape, like he could have made an impact year one. He got diagnosed with leukemia, sat out his rookie season. He's going to come here, has an opportunity with a rookie quarterback to build some chemistry and kind of build his role here. So. Yeah, I could see Mechie getting it, especially with his case kind of coming back from his bout with leukemia. So
you mentioned John Mechie. They also have Tank Dell there in Houston. So I feel like that's a good young wide receiver duo for CJ Stroud to grow with. And plus Pierce he's a pretty good running back. He's that traditional running back, Dameon Pierce. So I mean, obviously, I don't see them winning many games this year, but I do see them building something for the future as well.
Yeah.
And then so just moving on to Coach of the Year. We've mentioned them already a bunch of times. I have Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions. I feel like this is the year that they finally make that leap. They'll make it to the playoffs, and a lot of teams, because last season it was Brian Daboll from the Giants. As we see now, all you need to do is make the playoffs. It doesn't matter what you do at this point, like, because even Sirianni wasn't a candidate, and he had the best record in the league. Andy Reid had the best record in the AFC, wasn't even a candidate. Because who was it? Kyle Shanahan. It was Daboll, and then it was from Jacksonville, our former coach, Doug Peterson. I was rooting for him because of obviously Eagle bias, but I feel like this year we see that as long as you make that improvement, they will consider you. So I have Dan Campbell winning this year. What about you?
Dan Campbell was one, and then Coach Saleh from the Jets. If they get 13 wins and lead that division, I think that'll tip it over for them. If he doesn't, it's Campbell's award to lose.
Mm-hmm. Real quick before we take off, one coach that I don't have winning this at all, that obviously we've mentioned him a bunch of times, okay? There's no way this coach will win Coach of the Year because he can't even motivate his players. He's a former Eagle defensive coordinator. A lot of the reason why, just based off your reaction, I feel like you've already seen this video. This is the reason why a lot of Eagle fans feel like we lost the Super Bowl, and myself included, because he didn't make the proper adjustments in the second half. But yeah, man, this guy couldn't motivate me to make a fucking sandwich. Here's Jonathan Gannon, the new head coach for the Cardinals, who will have the number 1 pick next year.
Who drove over here? Quick, let me see your hands. Who took the bus? Did you have fire in your gut? Did you?
Marquise Brown's like, what the fuck?
Don't get that twisted. Okay, we're here for a reason to win games. So if you didn't have that fire in your gut, you better light the fire pretty fast. Be who you are. Just understand, I'm looking for killers.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Be who you are. Just know I'm looking for fucking killers, he said. dude.
I'm gonna lie to you. I made a bet that there would be an 0-17 team in the league.
Okay, I'm not gonna say that bad. Oh, you said that there will be one, or that they are.
It doesn't have to be the Cardinals. It's just that there will be an 0-17 team, and it's only because of the Cardinals. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, dude, that was so bad, dude.
I put 11 units on the Cardinals to go under. So
yeah, that was bad. I saw something.
I'm looking for killers, man, because the only thing you're gonna kill is your tenure in Arizona. That is so crazy.
Yeah. That, and then I saw the comments. They're like, "We're here to win games, just not this year because the 2024 draft is loaded." It's like, dude, like the little comments like that. It's all like, "Oh no, dude." James Conner and Hollywood Brown look like they both just saw a ghost. It's like, dude, how did this? I don't know.
Marquise Brown is looking at this like, damn, I should have just not been annoying about my contract extension.
Stayed with the Ravens in Harbaugh.
Oh.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to finish off on that. Anything else you want to mention before taking off?
Oh man, that guy's getting set up to just lose and get fired. It's coming.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Thank you for joining us for episode 19 of the Sports Planet podcast. Alex, like I mentioned earlier, host of the RoyalTea Podcast. I'll make sure to link that in the show notes. So thank you for taking time out of your day to come and join us for episode 19, like I just mentioned. And to everybody else who tuned in, thank you for watching or listening to this episode. And we'll catch you all in the very next episode of the Sports Planet podcast.
Life is good, I've decided now.